He even said he wouldn't mind if his games were called J-Action, though at least one journalist noted that this looks a little too much like Jacktion, which is a good name for games like Bayonetta that are firmly placed in the games you turn off when your family walks in genre. But I thought I'd take a minute to talk about what I think of when I think JRPG. The first thing that comes to mind for me is classic turn-based games like Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, as well as more modern turn-based games like Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest. For a while, I'd see Donald Duck on the cover and dismiss it as just a stupid game for kids, but now as a tried and true Kingdom Hearts fan, I can say with the utmost confidence that this is a stupid game for everyone. This game grabbed me so hard that I reevaluated my stance on turn-based games. Plus, my girlfriend at the time said she'd break up with me if I didn't play Final Fantasy X. I beat it, but she still dumped me. Sure, I could go find a replacement water chip, or I could wander off in the wrong direction and get killed by a rat. I chose this. Now that's not to say that Western RPGs are bad either. Skyrim is my number 1 and number 3 most played Steam game.
Connor, dinner's ready.
Hollywood, baby. There isn't a single hole these guys wouldn't stick their cocks in to make a quick buck. Yeah, no, I'd f*** that. Now, movie tie-ins already had a bit of a reputation for being, for lack of a better word, shit f*** bad. But by the 6th generation, games have become much more complex to develop. It just wasn't feasible to launch them day and day with the movies anymore. But boy did they try! It's not every day you get to play a half-finished game. If you look closely, you can see exactly which corners they cut. A series of unfortunate events on the PS2, and no, I'm not talking about the High Impact Games library. This is an entry in the ever-popular, we don't know how to adapt this property to an interactive medium, so we made a 3D puzzle platformer genre. This Wikipedia article is starting to make a lot more sense. Drawing inspiration from the film, Violet is a brilliant inventor, and Klaus is a f***ing nerd. I would prefer to see an original story for Bionicle's first big video game venture, but at the very least, I'm glad we got to play as the main cast. Now, if only it was good. Each character plays exactly the same, they all just have some asinine gimmick to trick you into thinking they're different. Snow level, you're snowboarding here. Water level, now you have to swim. Underground level, you have to push some rocks that are covered in butter for some reason.
I must return to the others at once.
Speaking of relics from my childhood, why won't you die? The Simpsons is an American animated sitcom created by Matt Groening for the Fox Broadcasting Company. The series is a satirical depiction of American life, epitomized by the Simpson family, and my god, there are 35 seasons, why won't someone make it stop? Wikipedia is really telling it like it is today. And it has all the other common traits of a movie tie-in. It's a 3D puzzle platformer, it released on just about every console, it f***ing sucked. They even made a joke in the trailer about releasing on every platform ever, which they had to walk back since it was technically false advertising. EA learned the hard way what the rest of us knew all along. You don't fuck with the ColecoVision. And the later levels are simultaneously a love letter to gaming as a whole and a criticism of some troubling trends that started to emerge in the industry around this time. This is surprising not only because many of these critiques are still relevant today, but also because this game was made by EA, who were already one of the worst offenders on most of these, and they haven't got any better. The movie tie-in game is basically dead nowadays. Hollywood's wisened up, and instead of pushing for mediocre tie-ins to launch day and day with their movies, they're taking their time and making legitimately good games that expand the world they've created, and occasionally pushing out some garbage for us all to point and laugh at. And even though they weren't always that good, and usually they were downright awful, I still think movie tie-ins deserve a spot in gaming history. No, not there! And hey, thanks to their exposure to the general public, they sometimes come with nice bonuses like free barbecue sauce. No way, I can't believe my copy of Saints Row the Third came with free spaghetti! The exclusive library for the 360 may not have been as expansive as the PS3's and definitely leaned a bit more heavily into the testosterone. Except that one. This is one feature that every platform has kept around in some form except for one. Speaking of things that are sticking around, here's something that won't be. Prior to digital downloads, the only way to get a game out on consoles was through a physical release. That meant finding a publisher, pressing discs, shipping them out to retailers, making sure you have enough copies without having too many. The Kinect, Microsoft's biggest fuck-up since Windows ME. It even earned the world record for fastest selling consumer device. Congratulations, bud, you're a record holder. So why didn't Microsoft continue to support it? Well, It was $150. It barely worked. Even when it did work, the games were crap. It was required for the Xbox One at launch, which almost definitely drove up the price. The games were crap. It does this creepy bow when you start it up. Oh, and I almost forgot the games were crap. I wouldn't wipe my ass with Connected Ventures, but I'll keep it nearby just in case. Game consoles are typically sold at a loss. The manufacturer makes up for this by taking a cut of software sales. The idea being if you have a Nintendo console, you're going to keep buying games for it. So that money's going to flow back to Nintendo eventually. Oh hey, don't mind me, I'm just starting arguments online. Which console are you going to get? For some, there's no bigger question. Nothing else could possibly be as important as this decision.
What should we name our son?
In a minute, honey. Not to worry though, Nintendo's working hard to keep the console war alive and well, so make sure you lob a Joy-Con at your nearest Xbox fan for them. I mean, for a while it felt like basically everybody had one of these things. Anyway, I wonder what number 8 is. Huh. Sony was pretty cocky after, spoiler for later in this episode, the massive success of the PS2. Early on in this generation, they must have felt like gods. That's the only explanation I can come up with for some of the shit they pulled. And the first prototype of this thing was insane. Yes, the controller looks fucking stupid, but I don't even care about that. What could they possibly expect us to do with 3 Ethernet ports? The more powerful hardware in the PS3 ended up pulling them ahead and allowed them to win the 7th generation of console wars. Now let me just take a look at my list to see what number 7 is, and goddammit, it's the Wii. Dead people must have loved this thing. No one with a pulse could possibly stomach Eminem's kart racing. Yeah, alright. I'm sure they would have liked to push some more software sales, but I guess instead they'll just have to settle for winning the console war with cheap, outdated hardware. This came to be known as the Nintendo PlayStation, a name that makes me break out in hives just from thinking about it. The whole thing on Nintendo's side led to the creation of some of their worst games of all time, and on Sony's side it led to a brand new console that blew both the N64 and the Sega Saturn out of the water. I'll let you figure out who won that one. By this point, the console market had long since consolidated into 3 main players, and since Nintendo was busy doing this, Sony's only real competition was coming from Microsoft. Luckily for Sony, Microsoft seemingly spent their entire marketing budget on making the Xbox One look as unappetizing as possible. It was always online, the Kinect was mandatory, they locked out used games, and all of that was if they even remembered to mention the thing was a game console. They took the Wii U's idea of taking your games off the TV screen and asked, what if we went further with it? Literally, you can just go further now. Try to play your Wii U in the woods, you can't do it. Nintendo did the same thing with the DS. Even though it was fully backwards compatible with GBA games, they claimed it was meant to coexist with the GBA. Speaking of which, Nintendo revolutionized the handheld gaming space with the Nintendo DS for the 3rd time in a row. God, do something different for once! That, and I'm sure a few people might have double dipped on this one. There were quite a few redesigns throughout the DS's life, plus some of these things got abused pretty hard. I feel like almost everyone has some wacky story about how they broke their DS. Ah shit, this isn't Nintendogs. But the main leg up the PS2 had was its track record of not f***ing up as much as the competition. The Xbox was too expensive to manufacture and wasn't able to make up for it with software sales. And the GameCube. Hello and welcome to What the Fuck is Wrong with the GameCube, the show that takes beating a dead horse to a whole new level. We've been on the air for 23 years straight and our contestants are still ready to go on those buzzers, so tell me folks, what the fuck is wrong with the GameCube? It's too small. It's too square. No backwards compatibility? This controller looks like it was made by Jackson Pollock. I just prefer the ColecoVision. These discs are tiny. You can't play Get Smart. I just don't like the fucking thing. Oh hey, don't mind me, I'm just throwing all my money away. Listen, we've all been there. Video games are expensive. Sometimes you need to choose between that hot new release and paying the electric bill. Damn it! Bugs and translation errors were pretty much expected, and that's not even mentioning the elephant in the room. For a more grounded take on the shooter genre, America's Army was a free first-person shooter developed as a recruitment tool for the US Army, but that didn't stop my Canadian ass from playing it. Beavers! Plus, being subsidized by the US government meant that pesky elephant was less of a problem. We're getting to that, don't worry. I don't understand why so many mobile games seem to do whatever they can to stop you from playing. Actually, I do, and I think now's a good time to mention it.
This fucking stinks!
Sure, you can get by just by playing the game and taking the drip-fed rewards they give you, but you really should buy the starter pack to get a good head start, and maybe get a few diamonds or crystals or whatever, and the ads are kind of annoying, better pay to get rid of those, and don't forget to get the season pass, and boy, I sure wish I could afford food. So nice of them to bring us a glass of water after they fucked fucked us. I distinctly remember getting bullied out of a TF2 lobby back in the day because I was the only one without a silly hat.
Get a load of this freak.
Since the early 2010s, gacha mechanics have been omnipresent in loads of free-to-play games, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for some reason. For most people though, the term gacha game conjures images of these highly stylized anime games with massive pools of playable characters. And you can get 10 pulls for the low price of $20, and that's just for a chance at getting the character that you actually want. I wonder how many full games there are that cost less but are worth more. Once these gacha mechanics started showing up, it didn't take long for them to face criticism, considering they're basically things like a wheel that spins past a rare reward only to just miss it and land on some crap instead.
Ah, man.
At least if you open a physical card pack, the only thing you get from it is disappointment.
Aw, come on! For example, instead of throwing all my money into the trash, I'm going to invest it in something far more worthwhile. Come on, Snake Eyes!
Congratulations, you're broke!
Damn it! Oh, hey. Don't mind me, I'm just setting up a spooky ambiance. It's Halloween, this is the prime time for heart-pounding, pants-pissing thrills. Problem is, nothing really scares me more than interest rates these days. I don't think there's anything scarier out there. Except maybe whatever's in this box.
I mean, all these levels need to be built from the ground up, and even then you could only fit so many of them on the disc. But what if there was a way to have an infinite amount of levels? Maybe you could send them out over the internet and crowdsource the level design, and Nintendo, you son of a bitch, you did it. Why do I even need to do anything else when I have an infinite supply of Portal 2 levels? Hello, this is your job speaking.
I quit.
I remember as a kid I would download all kinds of custom maps in Command & Conquer Red Alert 2, and then only play them offline because I was not good at Red Alert 2. There's always the chance that someone might create something questionable within your game that has your company and its characters plastered all over it, and all of a sudden you've got yourself a controversy. I had no idea that Mario had a freaking huge clock, but it's in an official Nintendo game, so it must be true.
You son of a bitch, who are you?
I'm the ghost of Christmas future.
Isn't it Halloween?
Well, I gotta do something during the off-season.
That said, even if Nintendo can respect these hacks, it doesn't mean they tolerate them. Technically, fan games like this usually fall on the, yeah, that looks like copyright infringement side of the, hey, I made this Pokemon ROM hack, do you think this is copyright infringement? Argument. Not only have games got much more complex since then, but people have been getting more and more talented at modding. I wonder what kind of amazing things they're creating nowadays.
Wow, that's a lot of porn.
That's what I'm saying. Do you see it now? The general public can't be trusted to create their own gaming content. You gamers need to be put back on track. You need the guiding hands of massive corporations to show you how to play.
Hurrah! Sure, some of these mods are weird and horny, but that doesn't mean everybody's creativity should be stifled. Those ROM hackers and modders out there, they're the ones who are going to make new and innovative games in the future. Shutting them down now will only hurt gaming in the long run.
No, they violated the sanctity of the gamer-developer relationship. You can't just modify a game's code to play however you want. It's immoral. It's unethical. I don't like it! I thought I could convince you, but it seems you're just another fool that I have to deal with.
Wait, don't you see? This isn't anything new. Whether it's movies, books, TV shows, people have always found new ways to enjoy their favorite media, like writing fan fiction or joining discussions online, or even making absurd comedy sketches for YouTube.
No! The logical fallacy behind my crusade is causing me to disappear! Or something, is that what's going on?
Yeah, sure, f*** it. Oh, hey. Don't mind me, I've just been getting really into water lately.
Don't you hate it when you're really getting into a game, really losing yourself in the world and the characters, when all of a sudden you remember that you're playing a video game?
Wait a minute, this isn't real? What's the point?
But what exactly do we mean when we say immersion? Yeah, okay, that's not it. Oh, me? Yeah, I love video games, just as long as it feels like I'm doing, dear God, anything but this. Although these could seem a little critical at times, at the end of the day it was pretty clear that they were just jokes. It's not like anyone was protesting outside of City Hall or anything. No one really took it that seriously. Right? Xenoblade Chronicles 3 makes you do laundry.
I don't have time.
Why do I have to mash a button to sprint? Why do I have to hold down the trigger to push a door open? Why do I have to do laundry in Xenoblade Chronicles 3? There's no debuff for having dirty clothes, there's no buff for having clean clothes, there isn't even a laundry minigame or anything. It's just a button that you have to press every so often if you don't want to look like shit. I get that the point is to keep me engaged, but not once have I held R2 to push open a door and said, it's like I'm really there. If anything, it raises more questions about the game's realism, like how come it takes this much effort for Clive to push open a door, but sprinting across the desert in full armor is no problem? Here to answer that question is Grand Theft Auto 5. Because this isn't fun. Yeah, ever since about 2008, Rockstar's decided that actually it's not very realistic that every video game character can run a 5-minute mile without breaking a sweat, and made the default pace roughly equivalent to the speed at which I do my laundry. And God forbid you try sprinting and contract a case of GTA thumb.
First time? This sort of thing isn't going away though. As technology improves, developers are going to keep pushing the envelope to try to make their games as realistic as possible. And there really isn't much I can do about that. Or is there?
I don't like doing laundry.
Oh hey, don't mind me, I'm just getting ready for the holidays. It's a busy time for me. I have to write all these Christmas cards, plus I need to get ready for my annual award show, the Game of the Year Award. Now you might be saying, but Connor, isn't the best game of the year purely a matter of opinion? And to that I'd say you're right. And opinions are subjective, as in subject to intense scrutiny by me.
When picking a Game of the Year candidate, there's a lot to take into consideration. Should I pick something that hooked me with a great story like Metaphor Refantasio? Or should I pick something new and innovative like Balatro or Echoes of Wisdom? Maybe something with impressive graphics and tight gameplay like Astrobot? Or maybe I should admit that I had more fun playing Supermarket Simulator than any of those. Which is why I've assembled a crack team of analysts to nail down exactly which game deserves to be the best.
If Helldivers 2 doesn't win Game of the Year, I'm gonna saw my own legs off.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth cured my gout and made me 3 inches taller.
If Helldivers 2 doesn't win Game of the Year, I will saw Kitty's legs off.
People, please, let's all just calm down for a second. Has anyone heard of Balatro?
Get out.
Just about everyone is giving out their own Game of the Year award nowadays, which means pretty much every game will get to slap a Gautier Edition sticker on a re-release in the new year. Yeah, if you've ever wondered why so many different games get away with slapping that title on the box art, it's because, hey, that counts. The whole point is to put on a show celebrating our favorite hobby, not to get at each other's throats over stupid bullshit like which game had better looking puddles. Sure, some of these awards might miss the mark by filling their shows with awkward sponsored crap and Vin Diesel, but it's still meant to be a celebration of gaming as a whole. And I should respect that.
So that's what character development feels like.
Did you say something? I was busy.
Yeah. I just realized something while doing a voiceover in my head. All these awards, all these ceremonies, it's not about picking the one best game and spitting on all the rest. It's about celebrating all the great games that came out in the last year. This pointless bickering is getting us nowhere. I say instead we all take the time to share our favorite games of the last year and what we're all looking forward to next year. Who's with me?
You do voiceovers in your head?
Yeah, it's a once a month kind of thing.
Get out!